Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. We have an unexpected unboxing video. I haven't got a clue what's in here, or who it's from, or anything. Postman pack just been, and normally when I'm not expecting things, I take in parcels for my two neighbours because they're at work a lot of the time when postman pack comes. So I naturally assumed it was for somebody else, and it's not. It's for me. So we will try and work out how to get in the box. It's one of those boxes like a jigsaw puzzle. It's difficult to work out where the start and the end is. Oh, hang on. That's from Zane. Or Zaina, sorry. Zaina Rapper. Goodness me, what can this be? Zaina is member of the British Orchid Growers Association, I believe, and had a large part, played a large part in getting me to put my Dendrobium Friedrichianum in for RHS judging. It was one of those, go on, go on, go on, go on. And so I did, and we all know what happened then, which was wonderful. Goodness me. Well, that was unexpected, to say the least. I've got a feeling this box unfolds, if you know what I mean, somehow. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it do. No clue what this is. It says live plants, so one can only assume it's plants. And I see leaves, so it's plants. We have a note. I'll see if that can be read out. It's a card. Card with a, that's a Nellie Isler of some sort. Right, dear Roger, here is to inspire your hybridization program. Yeah, that may not happen. And feed your hunger for yellow. P.S. Don't kill them. They are slow growers. You won't get another one anytime soon. Oh, that's actually somebody's actual artwork on the front. So, personalised card. So what have we got that's yellow then? Oh my god, it's actually got blooms on. Tiny little blooms. It's an oncidium of some sort. What does it say here? Oh my god. It's an oncidium chrysomorphum. Chrysomorphum, I believe that says. Never heard of it. And hopefully we've got some roots on the bottom of this. Trying to avoid the spike at the moment. Well, we don't have any roots, but we can work on that. It's a division off a larger plant. And what we've got here are two bulbs, unbloomed, and the spike is coming off the base of the oldest pseudo bulb. Now, if I can get some roots going on this, if it can bloom on that one, it may well push spikes on these, one or both, but it's going to need some roots, that's for sure, and it hasn't got any at the moment, so we'll have to work on that. It's unusual for an oncidium to have growths that mature and not have started its new roots yet. Anyway, one of these, I don't know how close I can get in this light, but delicate little perfectly shaped oncidium blooms with buds still to come if they don't blast, change of environment and all that sort of stuff. It's obviously a species. Tiny little blooms. I was going to say, actually there's some fragrance there as well, which given that it's been in a dark box could mean that once it gets a bit of light around it, it's going to be very fragrant. Very attractive little blooms, but Emphasis on the little. There's more. Let me put that to one side. So that's one. And there's more greenery in here, so there's obviously more than one. And what we've got here is Miltoniopsis phalaenopsis. Now, I've never heard of that, but given that there's what? I think there may be 5, possibly there was once 6 Miltoniopsis species that can still be found in the wild. I said 5 maybe because I got a feeling one's now been declared extinct, but you don't find these in the wild often. They are incredibly rare, all of them. None of them are common, and under normal circumstances you wouldn't be able to get hold of them. I mean, I know when I went to Burnham's into their do not enter, staff only bit, which I entered, they had a Miltoniopsis there, species in bloom, that was yellow, and I had a feeling at the time it's the only yellow species. I wonder if that's it. If that's it, then that is incredibly rare. We've got any more green? Oh, there's more. Let's do this one first. Now, being a Miltoniopsis, it's going to be a fussy tyke, to say the least. And being a Miltoniopsis species, it's probably going to be in even more of a fussy tyke. I hope this has got some roots. Recovering Miltoniopsis from a rootless situation is not easy at the best of times. But from my point of view, it's arrived at what I would call an almost perfect time of year, because I've lost my heat in the grow room, which at least means it's going to be in an environment it'll appreciate rather than stressing it out unduly with heat. That's the last thing these need. As far as I know, all the Miltoniopsis species are cloud forest dwellers, so they're cool growers, high humidity, good airflow, and relatively low light levels to keep them happy. Right. We have some roots. There's enough there to work with. And there's a lot of growths. They're tiny, but there's a lot of growths. It's not like it's a single piece taken off a plant. It's a plant in its own right. That leaf didn't want to stay, did it? Okay, I can do something with that. Wow, Miltoniopsis species. I wouldn't ever have expected to come across a Miltoniopsis species in my travels, the sort of places I can go to. Oh no. This is another Miltoniopsis, and it looks like another species. Well, as I said, given that there's only 5 or 6, perhaps I'm starting a collection now. Are we down to the? Yeah, we're down to the bottom now. And this one, it says, this one says yellow one on the back, and we've got. I'll have to look that up because I'm not quite sure what that says. But it's a species, or it looks like a species with a variety name, although this may be a hybrid. I can't read the writing. I'll have to do a Google fuzzy match and see if I can find what this one actually is. Very wet and soggy at the base. But we do have some roots. They're older roots. We've got an old yellowing pseudobulb, 2 older pseudobulbs, and some new growths around the edge. I'm going to have to go very careful potting these up, not to keep the base wet. They can rot very easily right on the base, right on the join between the pseudobulbs if they're too wet at that point. But nonetheless, they shouldn't dry out. There's another leaf come off. So what we need to do now is not get these two in a muddle. So I'll sort them out. You've caught me right in the middle of boxing up the Peter Comp for Paul and the Kikis. That's why there's a mess everywhere. So I'll sort these out soon. It's been quite a bit of leaf drop in here. But Miltoniopsis species is, I'm not sure that is a species, that might be a hybrid, but certainly this one is. And I've never heard of Miltoniopsis phalaenopsis, but we'll have a go with that. It's quite a nice plant. It's got one droopy pseudo-bulb, which might have to come off, otherwise I might have to pot it a bit lower than I'd like. But we've got some roots to work with, so that's that one. And then we've got our little Oncidium species as well. Those are delicate little blooms. It's a strange fragrance. It's a sort of, it's difficult to describe, but we've got roots to try and get going on that one. So, so thank you, Zaina, I think. Not sure how well I'm going to do with any of these. We will do some work on them, and especially the Oncidium. The Miltoniopsis, I know what I've got to do with those. Just keep them cool, give them some good air movement around them, and hopefully get some new roots going against the growths. This one I'm not quite sure at the moment. First job is to look it up and find out temperature range and all that sort of stuff. Oncidium species, light levels reasonably obvious. Same with the Miltoniopsis, they're low light levels, they don't need high light. The last thing any of these need is high light until they get a new root system going. I always go along the lines that if a plant's in a state of change or recovery, whatever you want to call it, the more light you give it, the more you stress it. Yeah. So I tend to keep mine in lower light levels until they get themselves going again. Well, thank you very much, Zaina. I haven't got a clue when I'm ever going to see Zaina again. It's a matter of the shows where British Orchid Growers Association, and she might even be a member of the British Orchid Council, I'm not sure. But nonetheless, I mean, her crew were at our 60th anniversary, and they were at Malvern, and those level of shows like the Malvern, the RHS shows, the big shows are the only real place where I can come across that group of people, so I don't see them very often. Malvern's an annual event, we hope. It's going to continue to be an annual event. Right, I'll see what I can do with these, and we'll do videos of what I do with them as and when I get round to them. It's not going to be today, I've got a busy day today, and quite honestly, the fact that these were in wet moss, they're fully hydrated as plants, and I'd like to see them dry off a little bit first. And this one, I'll just have to think about how I can get... I got a feeling that roots are going to come very soon on these two new growths, because this is an unusual, this is the oldest growth, these are two new growths, but no new roots coming yet. Well, some Oncidiums grow like that. They don't push their new roots out until they're virtually mature. And others push their new roots out as the new growths start. And, you know, different plants grow differently. It's just a matter of looking it up and doing a bit of work on it. But just trying to find the base of that spike, and no, it's definitely coming out of the older bulb. Unusual. Normally comes straight out the new growth as they mature, or just after. So an unusual growing pattern as well. Thank you very much. I wonder what inspired that. I'm not so sure about the hybridization program, whether that's ever going to take off, but the thing is, I mean, if you can produce a cross and get a seed pod that's viable, there are places you can send it, including I've got a friend who's got his own lab, and his rules are that he keeps most of the plants and you get some. if it all works. So he does it for nothing, he does it for the enjoyment. But there are other places where you can send a seed pod, and again, they'll charge you a fee, but you get some of the plants back. So you get some of your own cross. I don't know who gets to name it, because obviously it would have to be registered to do that, and I've never gone down that road because I've never done that sort of thing. Anyway, we'll see what we can do. Thank you very much. Most unexpected. Oh. What on earth brought that on? Anyway, thanks a bunch, and I'll do some follow-up on these once I've got some more information and worked out what that actually says. The Miltoniopsis bit I can read, but I'm not so... can't really read the next one. We'll work on it. It's got two eyes on the end, so logically it's a species. So I'm just going over the labels to see if one of the other labels no, I'll have to look it up. We'll find it, we'll sort it out. I usually win when I start looking for names, especially when they're species. You've only got to put a random spelling of something into Google, it'll tell you off and give you the right spelling, so you normally get there pretty quickly. Thanks a lot. Now let's get on with the rest of the boxing that I was doing, because I want that in the post today. Make sure that gets to where it's going to go this week, and hopefully with a bit of light on that bloom we might find out what its true fragrance is. Good stuff. Thank you very much, and see you next time. Bye for now.